Hey guys, Darren Sugiyama here. If you've ever been betrayed by someone, whether it be in business or in your personal life, maybe it was an employee or a spouse or a so called friend, I know as well as you do, these things are so painful and it's so easy to become resentful to the point where it can be very difficult to move on and ever trust anyone again. But if you want to have great lasting relationships, you have to trust and you have to be the first one to trust. It's a very brave thing to do because it puts us in a very vulnerable situation. Again, if you've ever been hurt by someone before, just you know how bad that stings. So, in my new book, How I Built a $37 million insurance agency in less than 7 years, again, this is the second edition of the book that I put out 10 years ago, I talk a lot about dealing with betrayal, whether it be in your personal life or in your business life. So, I'm going to read to you the first couple pages of chapter 10, and chapter 10 is called New Perspective. So it says, empires are rarely destroyed by opposing empires. They're usually destroyed from within. Betrayals and coups d'etats are often led by the people that the leader helped the most, which is why the saying, no good deed goes unpunished, exists. It's a terrible thing to say that no good deed goes unpunished. But I understand why it exists because it happens so often, and you've probably experienced it in the same way that I have. Every successful person I know has gone through a massive betrayal, whether it was in business or in their personal life. And when this happens, we search for answers to the question, why do bad things happen to good people? Every time I've experienced a betrayal or had someone leave my organization, I would later discover that it was a blessing in disguise. As I said in the beginning of this book, sometimes the people that start out with you aren't necessarily the ones that continue with you, especially when it's time for you to elevate to the next level. This is not a bad thing. It may be painful, but it's for your own benefit. You must change your mindset from being resentful that these things happened to you to being grateful that these things happened for you. I realize this is a much easier thing to be said than done. Everyone has their own process of mentally and emotionally coping with betrayals and setbacks. For me, I find my power in another F word. It's not what you think. The F word is faith. Now, you don't need to be a religious or spiritual person to understand what faith is. You exhibit faith in your life every day. How is that possible if you're not religious or you're not spiritual? Just look at faith in a slightly different way, because you're all doing this right now, just in a different way maybe. When you drive down a 2-lane highway, you trust that the car driving in the opposite lane is going to stay in their lane and not cause a head-on collision with you. This is a form of faith. Simply put, faith is choosing to believe in something you cannot see and cannot prove, trusting that something will or will not happen, despite there being no guarantee. Every entrepreneur exhibits the same type of faith in their daily business operations, because in the world of business, there are clearly no guarantees. But when we're betrayed, our faith in people oftentimes suffers as we search for answers that are difficult to find. Nietzsche's a philosopher. Nietzsche said, to live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. I truly believe that if you can make sense of the challenges and hardships, to find the meaning in the suffering, then you can create a platform to not only survive, but to grow exponentially as a person in the areas of perseverance, wisdom, and discernment. If the meaning behind your shortstop leaving was to make room for Derek Jeter to step into that position on your team, you would be celebrating their departure. I have found two things to be universally true in this regard. Number one, higher quality people will only come into your life once you remove the toxic people. And two, if you're too stubborn to remove the toxic people yourself, sometimes God does it for you. Though having people leave you can be very painful experience, you remember what I said earlier. No one has ever said, I wish that jackass was still on my team. If you are currently experiencing a betrayal, embrace their decision to leave, because a higher caliber person can now fill that void. And I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me. Again, I'm not making light of being betrayed. When you're betrayed by someone that proclaimed to be your friend or your partner or someone that you were in the trenches with, someone that you helped tremendously, again, it hurts so bad emotionally. It can become so easy to become resentful, and again, sometimes we lose the ability, or we think we lose the ability to trust people again. But being able to trust people is the only way we can build great relationships. And again, every great relationship I have today with my wife, with my business partner, with my core group of friends, most of these relationships came on the heels of getting betrayed by somebody else. So, again, I share that with you to offer you some hope and encouragement that if you're going through something difficult right now emotionally, whether it be a betrayal by a friend or a so-called friend or a business partner, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I know lots of times you can't see the light. The tunnel feels like a cave that you're never going to get out of. But again, if you exhibit that same type of faith that you have driving down the street, I mean, there is no guarantee on the way home tonight that you're going to get home alive, but you don't worry about it, right? You have faith that you're going to get home safe to your family and your loved ones. And so you got to exhibit that same type of faith when it comes to moving forward in business and moving forward in your personal relationships. So again, I hope this helps. Again, there's nothing I could share with you in a 5 to 10 minute video that's going to change your life, but hopefully this sparks the beginning of you being able to at least consider a different way of looking at things. Again, I talk about it, a lot about it in my book. You can get this on Amazon right now. Again, it's called How I Built a $37 Million Insurance Agency in Less Than 7 Years. And so many of the principles I share in this book don't just apply to the insurance business and don't just apply to being in business, but they really apply to living a fulfilling and happy and joyful life where you get to experience gratitude, again, for not only the good things that happen to you, but also the challenging things that happen to you. So hopefully this helps. Look forward to talking to you guys soon.